Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Hello, 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 hello. All right, let's see. Uh, Live. Okay, so. Alright, this is the backdrop for the new video. So we are very excited. So it's one of those days where we are very dichotomied, something two-minded, something, I don't know what the word, I don't want to say duplicitous because that for some reason feels like negative, like somebody is being duplicitous. It's I don't want to say bipolar because I don't want to be disrespectful, and I don't want to, but I feel like what is the what is the guy in the Batman, I think it was Tommy Lee Jones that played like Two-Face, right? So right now today I am thrilled and excited and elated and joyful because, as you can see, the blue background is part of the new video. That we had a lot of technical difficulties with the DNA video and had to reshoot it all, and there was a very steep learning curve of technology, and we got that all done, and I'm super excited because the video is like a biscuit, and I've been working on it all day trying to get it finished before now, but it is a biscuit away from being finished, and it should be ready to be rendered by this evening. So I'm very excited for the new video. At the same time, my blood is hot, my heart is broke, because somebody thought it would be acceptable and a good idea to throw fire and set people on fire, to set other human beings on fire in Boulder, Colorado. And we don't set other human beings on fire. That is very bad. And it was a Free Palestine protest, and as seems to happen over and over again, this person was throwing fire while the people he was throwing at were walking for peace and were on a walk, like an event, a walk to free the hostages, the Israeli hostages, and to bring peace. And I don't understand I love Alan Alda. If you're, my age or, any kind of age, you probably have seen MASH and the TV show, and I'm just a huge Alan Alda fan, and we grew up on Free to Be You and Me with Alan Alda and Marlo Thomas, and he has a podcast called Clear and Vivid, and it's so intelligent and it's so interesting, and I worry, I don't worry, but it saddens me that Loretta Swit, the marvelous actress who played Hot Lips Houlihan, passed away, and she was 88. And Alan Alda, I know, is in the same age range, and he still does his podcast, and Clear and Vivid, and it is just a spectacular, it's very interesting. He talks to all different kinds of people, and it's just very interesting. But one of the things they do at the end of the podcast is this rapid fire of questions, and one of the questions that he always asks is, what do you wish you really understood? And I come back to that question all the time, this thing I don't understand. And maybe it's because we're, light workers, or we choose to live in the light. I don't understand a level of hatred that would make something be okay to set another human being on fire. And so if you have Jewish friends, if you are a Jewish friend, I'm here for you. And if you have Jewish friends, do check on them, because people are not okay. And none of this is okay. And none of this is going to get better. And, this comes right on the heels of the absolutely horrific and cold-blooded murder of 2 young people at the Jewish Museum who were peace workers in Washington, D.C. And none of this is okay, and none of this is getting better. And while I do try not to be overly political or any political, the current regime in our country is not helping. They're not. And he, one of the things he campaigned on was to help, and this is not helping. So if you have Jewish friends, and if you are Jewish, know that I am here. No, baby, I'm not okay. I am 100 billion% not okay. And so this is where I feel like I am of 2 minds today, because I don't understand. Like, it's something that just cannot compute. And so the anger and the frustration, the heartbreak that goes along with this, that we as light workers and empaths, we feel these things so intensely. And then on the other side, I certainly don't want to let that person's actions derail my belief in the light and the belief in the power of the universe. And so I bring myself back, and I find myself like this. Like, I go on my personal Facebook page, and some of you follow me there, and you'll see I'm very political on my personal page, and I'm very much like, this is not okay. But I come here, and I want to make sure that I am here, and I try super hard on my personal Facebook page not to, though I am angry, I am very angry, and as light workers, we're allowed to be angry. We absolutely are allowed to be angry. We don't have to be all kumbaya all the time. That's not reality. It is okay to be angry. It is not okay to give in to hate, and it is not okay to give up on believing in the power of the universe. Okay? Thank you, my friends. So the part that I come back to, and it's something I have struggled with, and if you see people going through any kind of a thing, then maybe this is something you struggle with too, of how do I align what I know to be true, which is we chose to incarnate here at this time to be part of this transitional time in our humanity, with the enlightened perspective, with the shit show that we can see on the ground in a multitude of places around the globe on any given day. So there's this left brain, right brain, right? And this is the 2 faces of saying, but I believe that, and there are liberal light workers, there are conservative light workers. My cousin is a much more conservative person, and I don't know exactly what she does, but addresses herself as a light worker, and even in my mediumship, mentorship groups, there are folks who are in the more conservative viewpoints and political, and so there's not one way. There's not the assumption that, oh, if you're a light worker and you're all love and light, you must be all sunshine and lollipops for everyone. And I would love for that to be true. And I will say that it does feel like the majority of the people that I meet who work in the light, that is true. But how do we align this? How do we bring together the reality that we see unfolding on the ground with staying in alignment with the light? And so here's me. I get mad, I get hurt, I get sad, I get heartbroken. I try to breathe, and then I try to remember that those people whose lives are senselessly extinguished, that is the left brain viewpoint to see the news, to say those lives were senselessly extinguished and brutally extinguished. And I grieve for the families and the friends, and we send love and light and support and energy and angels and all the things we can to those places. And then I ask them from a spiritual perspective, what was your mission here? What was your mission? And for some, the mission is to elevate the horrific in order to some way, somehow bring humanity to a tipping point that sometimes I feel like doesn't really exist, where we will have had enough and we are going to say, this, we're done. We're not doing any of this anymore. We are going to come with love and peace and compassion, and we are going to come together. Because the reality is that on our planet, there is enough food, there's enough water, there is enough energy, there is enough of everything if we were willing to share. And it looked for a minute like our, global communities were working in that direction, and now we've kind of swung in the other direction. But what I know is that humanity swings like a pendulum. The politics, the viewpoints, it swings like a pendulum. And every time we swing very, very far one way, we swing back the other way. I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling, but there is a place for us to connect with spirit, source, angels, guides, and to know that our loved ones, whatever their demise on planet Earth may have been, that they were welcomed to the other side with love, with light, with friends, with family, that no one ever in the history of souls transitions from the physical to the energetic to the etheric without having people, regardless of how fast that passing may be, there are always those on the other side that are there to help them transition and to help them cross, to help them adapt, to help them be welcomed with love, with light. And that once they're there, they don't feel any of this. They're not having any of these angsty bits that we are those who left behind. And so I ask myself again and again and again, what is this violence supposed to be teaching us? And the easy answer, right, the easy answer is to stop doing the violence, because the violence is so bad, right? And so at some point, someday, somehow, somebody might. But as humans, we're not yet there. And then I come back to, and if you've been following me for any kind of time, you've probably heard me before talk about my idea of humanity evolving through the chakras, and how where we are right now is the throat chakra. And so this is what we're seeing right now, is people screaming free Palestine, people screaming for equal rights, people screaming for deportations, for not deportations, for energy, for women's rights, for. We're seeing this is the age of screaming, is really the only way I can describe it. But the thing that I really try to bring myself back to after all this circle of emotions, right? And we have this circle of emotions, right? We start with, in anything, we might be excited about it, then we've got to get to work, there's some frustration, there's some roadblocks, we've got to regroup, we've got to figure out how to go forward, there's heartbreak, we didn't make it, we've got to, recommit to the goal, and we start the cycle all over again. And whether that's a goal or that's just getting up in the morning, that cycle is the same. Right? That we hit the roadblocks, we get frustrated, we've got to regroup, we get our emotions together, and we've got to recommit to going forward. And whatever it is, that's the cycle of emotions. And so when we come to the place where we are done with the age of screaming, the ears are next. And so I pray every day for the age of listening. Because everyone is saying and saying and saying and saying and saying, well, I want this, and we should do this, and we should do this. And no one is listening. And so I feel like maybe all of this is to say, and I know that some days they sit me down in this chair at 4:30 and they say, we're going to let you process through your emotions out there in the metaverse, because maybe some others are feeling the same kind of way, and also that it helps me kind of process things. And so for that, I thank you. But in the place that we can get to the time of the listening, and we as light workers, that is one of the best things that we can do, is listen. And I have to imagine how much pain, I choose to imagine how much pain someone must be in to choose an action that includes setting another human being on fire. That how much pain does this Egyptian man have to have been in to make that choice as a logical or okay thing to do? And then we come, of course, to the fact that somebody who would make that choice probably was not thinking logically. And all of these things are driven by pain. And so for us, for we, the community of light, to be able to say, why don't we try to be the listeners? It is very important that you're reaching out to your other friends who may be dealing with hard things, not just the Jewish ones, but other friends that you may know and you've had on your list and said, yeah, I need to do that, and you keep forgetting. Let this be a reminder that you might make that more of a priority. But let us be the listeners. Let us be not the listeners to the screaming, but let us be the listeners to the souls, the listeners to the light, the listeners to the angels and the higher and the ascended masters and our loved ones in spirit, and listening to the universe to say, what is it you would have me do in these moments that are so difficult and so painful and so baffling? What is it that you would have me do in these moments? And the answer that comes back to me, which is why we are here, the answer that comes back to me is keep going and spread the light. Because when we are in the lowest place, there's no more low for us to go. That is the place where we are the most receptive to hear the communications from the light. And so when we're flying high and everything is clicking and moving, I've decided not to say cooking with gas anymore, because I learned recently that was a promotional thing for the gas industry, the oil and gas industry, to get people wanting to cook with gas. So I've decided not to say that anymore. That's personal choice. But when we're clicking along and everything is moving and we're, and everything seems to be going forward in the way that we would choose, we don't listen. We're not listening because we're listening to this, and we're not listening to this. And so it is the places where we are at the bottom, where we go, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I can't even process that another horrific, horrible thing has happened. And as a Jewish woman, I take it extremely personally. But this is the place where we listen. When we have reached the bottom and we can no longer blow it off and we get to this place of surrender, we say, what is it you would have me do? And if you look back through history of the Bible or whatever, what is it you would have me do at the people who have been the most humbled? And so I say, what is it that you would have us do? And the answer that continues to come is to listen and to continue to stay in the place of love and not to ignore. And absolutely we must step up and we must stand against all of the hate that is being so blindly thrown around in so many different directions that it becomes up to us to continue to share love, to share love, to share love. And it's not easy. It's so much easier to get angry and to fall into the madness and the hate. It is a choice for us to say, I do not agree with any of this, and I am hurt and angry, and as a Jewish person I am scared that, who knows what event I would go to or that you would go to. But then I choose to say I'm not going to live my life that way. I will not live my life in fear, because I know that if it's time for me, for my soul to go, I know my loved ones will be right there to help me cross over. I will not be alone. And all of this conversation will be over because I won't be confused anymore, because then I'll be on the other side and I'll know it all. It is up to us to stay in the light. And some days that feels like fighting the 1,000-pound gorilla. And I remember one time I heard this, I was working on a goal, and I heard this thing about fighting the gorilla, and this, probably you've heard this too, that when do you stop fighting the gorilla? It's not when you're tired, it's when the gorilla is tired. And so we keep fighting, or we keep working, because we can't fight against something while trying to prevent it at the same time. We can't fight against this. We must love against it, and we will work against it, and we will move forward together, and we will work with it and through it. And someday, maybe not in our lifetime, humanity will grow, and we will come to a place where we understand that there is plenty for everyone if we would be willing to share. All right, so maybe that is enough of that. And I thank you for indulging me. And I thank you for your love and support. And I thank you, as always, for being part of our community of light, our community of love, and lifting each other and supporting each other, and just being part of carrying the light. Because, you know, if you think about the candles, you know, and you have a candle and you have a candle, and one person is lit and the other person is not, and you light your candle is not diminished at all. But now there's more light for everybody. And so it's up to all of us to continue to share the light and make sure that all the candles can be lit, because that will benefit and bless everyone. All right, let's see what is going on today in the world. And so, as far as the Unspooling Your DNA class, I'm very excited. It's almost ready. We're going to go back to excitement because I would rather stay there. It's almost ready, and it's this way. You can see the new backdrop today. It's just for today, and it's going to be rendered, and we're going to get it out in emails, and it's going to be available to purchase in, gosh, I hope by the end of the week. I mean, really, that is, I am claiming it. By the end of the week, we're going to be live, and we're going to have all the pieces in place to be able to have that uploaded to the platform where people can buy it and participate and view it, and it is going to be exciting and wonderful. So watch your email, and if you are not on my email list, please DM me immediately and get me your email address. Do not put it in the comments. We don't want anybody, you know, public having, they don't need it, and spammers don't need it. But if you are not on my email list and you're not getting my newsletter that I send, I send one newsletter a month, and for something like this, you might get 2 other emails that are like, ooh, something exciting. But I send a newsletter. I do not send a bunch of emails. And if you are not on my email list, please DM me and get on my email list. You do not want to miss this. This video is so good. We've worked so hard on it, and I'm so excited. Is it perfect? No, because I'm not a professional production person. I worked in TV and movie production for years, but not on this side. I was on the talent side. So it is, but it is a fabulous video, and I'm really excited. So make sure I have your email address. All right, what do we need to know that's going on in the world right now? And this is, I love when we talk first and then we bring in the cards. So this is Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle card. I love this deck. It is just the most beautiful deck. And in honor of Pride Month, it's got all the pink and blue of trans flag colors. So this says, Inner Temple Devotion, Tune into the Portal of Your Heart. And I love this because this card is all about listening. Tune in to the portal, the inner portal of your heart. And that's exactly what we were just talking about. Getting quiet, and saying, what is it you would have me do? What do I need to do? And the thing that I ask every single day in my, in my world and in the class that I teach is, what is my next best step? And so this, in the inner temple, that's the question I'm asking. What is my next best step to help move me forward towards whatever my goal or manifestation or whatever it is? What is my next best step? So we ask that from the place of the inner temple, where we are quiet and we can be contained and we can be centered, because that's where we can listen. That's where we can hear. Okay? And this card is answering the call. So once we've listened, then we have to get emotion. And this is answering the call. What is your soul calling you to do? Honestly, you really can't make this stuff up. I mean, really. The cards, such little eavesdroppers. But what a beautiful picture. I mean, it's like she's sitting next to the waterfall. What is it? What is my next best step? What is my soul calling me to do? What is the next place that I'm going? So we're not in a new moon right now. We're in the waxing. We're coming up to the full moon. We're going to have the full moon in this, I think, is it this week or is it next week? Hang on a second. I forgot to check before we went. We're in the first quarter, so we've still got a whole nother week before we get into the full moon. So we're really, still in the, what do I want? Where am I going? What am I putting into place? This is in that first part of that wheel of emotion that we were talking about. This is still in the excitement part right now. We're in the excitement, we're in the manifesting, we're in the, this is what I'm putting out to the universe. And so this is what they're saying is, listen to what's going on in your heart, what's going on in your soul, what is it you want to put out in the universe, and let's get in touch with our higher mind, our higher guidance, our inner guidance. What is it that we really do want? And because once we know that, then we can plug it into the GPS and say, okay, universe, this is what I want. This is what I'm trying to manifest. This is where I'm going. What is my next best step? Okay? And then this is rest, retreat, and be held. deep replenishment. Now, this has been coming up a lot lately with clients as well. This need that in amidst the noise and the age of the screaming, the age of the yelling, it is so important that we take that time for replenishment, whether that is getting around mature trees, getting in some moving water, getting out in nature, just getting away from the computer screens or TV screens or phone screens, and just allowing ourselves to be. So my husband has been off work for a period of time right now, which has been marvelous because he has not really been off for like 5 years. He started working with WWE in COVID, and he never really stopped. And then he left WWE to do TGL golf, and he went straight from one right into the frying pan of one to the frying pan of the other. And then the season, now TGL was like an actual sport that had a championship and the end of the season. And so he's been off now since the middle of April, and it's been glorious to be able to have him be off and be able to enjoy his rest and his replenishment, and being able to watch him come back to himself. And so while I know a lot of people can't necessarily take 5 weeks off, but whatever it is that you need to do to have your rest and replenishment, and don't apologize for that, because if that means reading a trashy novel, if that's a bath with some candles, if that's putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, whatever that is, you are able to say, this is what I need, and this is, and claim it. So the deep replenishment is a really important part, because we can't go forward. We can't stay in, Almond's got his steel drum, and I love that because that is so beautiful. I will tell you, one of the things I really have been enjoying about doing the Spirit Fests, next up Daytona at the end of June, so more information coming. But the most wonderful part has been listening to other people at the other booths where they've got crystals, or they've got bowls, or there was a lady with a gong, and it's the music of it has just been magnificent. And so I would love for Altman, and I know Altman, you draw also, and so whatever it is that is for you, that is some kind of a creative outlet. My husband and I have been enjoying walking, that he's been home, and so we'll go on a walk, and we will just talk about all kinds of different things, and it is the most really interesting conversation. We'll talk about whatever, stuff would be like, what do we even talk about? I don't even remember, but it's just marvelous to just get away from the screens, she says, talking to other people on screens. But give yourself that space, okay? Give yourself that space. Okay, so in the midst of the not really feeling in my space to do individual readings today, I'm going to pull one more card, okay? And so this is the Starseed, and the Starseed card is what lights you up. What lights you up. And I feel like this message, this story that's being told here this week, is really, really important, because it says, look, we know that there is stuff going on. We know that there is, so much noise that's going on out there. And so it's really, really important that we take some time in our inner temple and get quiet, and that we take that time to get connected to our soul and get connected to our higher guidance. What is the soul calling you to do? That we are getting connected to our angels, our guides, our spirit guides, our loved ones, the ascended masters. It is so important, because this is conscious, okay? It's conscious. We don't just, in the midst of the fray, be like, oh, what was that? No. We have to choose to get quiet in order to connect in, okay? So everything that's happening right now is saying these things are happening, and we can't ignore them, okay? We can't ignore them, but we don't have to be drowned by them. Oh, hello. And drowned by them, and we don't have to be, as much as it is hard not to be overwhelmed, that we can choose to come back into the community of light. And so the people that I've been trying to connect with were the other light workers, the people who I can say, hey, I need a little extra light coming my way, okay? Because we understand, we all understand, this is a very hard time to be alive on our planet right now for people who are empaths and light workers. And so we say the deep replenishment is so, so important. Okay? And so this is a conscious choice. All of this is conscious. All of this is the choice that we are making to say, I am going to step into the light. I'm going to immerse myself in the light, which is not to say we're ignoring what's going on, but we are not allowing ourselves to get stuck, caught in the maelstrom of negative energy, negative emotions, anger, hate, and rage. You say, this happened, I'm not happy this happened, I'm very saddened that this happened, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to be active in organizations that I can, what can I do to bring more light to this so these horrific things will stop happening, and then I'm going to make sure to retreat and tune into my soul, what else can I do, and make sure that I am taking that time for deep replenishment and that rest and relaxation of what is it, that deep replenishment to refill the bucket, because so often we forget to refill our bucket. And then this last one is the starseed of what lights you up. And when we are in that place of one of the best things that we can do is do the thing that brings us joy. And when we are in this place and we feel it all closing in, it becomes, and this is not a judgment, it becomes very self-centered, and it becomes very I feel, me, I. And we forget that one of the best things that we can actually do to heal ourselves and re-strengthen ourselves and to fill our bucket back up is to help someone else. Okay? It's to reach out to someone else. It doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be anything. It could just be, hey, I'm checking on you. I wanted to see how you are doing. I wanted to see how you are because this is difficult and I'm thinking of you. And the responses that we can get, those things, that connection can really be a thing that lights us up, that fills our bucket. Okay? And so the starseed reminds us that while we are doing all these things for others and that we are finding our way in a very wild world right now, it is important that we rest and we listen to our soul, we listen to the communication, the connection with the universe, but then we're making time for fun. We're making time for connection. We're making time for something that brings us joy. And one of the things that happens when people are grieving is they feel guilty about joy. They feel like it's some sort of sacrilege or disrespect, and I want to be one of the first to tell you that is not the case. So when you are feeling grief and sadness, do something that brings you joy. After my son and I, we lost our beautiful Dixie dog. Now, Dixie, to be fair, was more than 20 years old. She was 21, more than 21. And so when she passed, we were just heartbroken because, we've had her for his entire life. And that was a horrible, horrible day. And the first thing we did after we did all the horrible, sad things that we had to do was we came back and I made one of his favorite things to eat, and we watched Spaceballs, because it is the dumbest, most silliest movie that we know, and could have easily been followed by Monty Python, but we chose something else. But we did that to fill our cup back up, to bring laughter, because what happens when we get so put upon with negative emotions and just sapped with the horrors and the angers and the frustrations is we forget to seek out the joy. And so this last card, the Starseed card, says, what lights you up? And this is a very strong reminder that says you must choose to seek joy. Choose to seek humor. And so as you are doing all the things, one thing before you leave here today is think to yourself, what is the thing that makes me laugh out loud the most? Is it a comedian? Is it your toddler, grandchild, child, neighbor's child? Is it a puppy, kitten, something? Is it silly cat videos on the internet? Is it a TV show? What is something that makes you laugh out loud? Because here's the thing, when we laugh out loud, literally belly laughs, we put all this to the side, we breathe deeper, we expel the stuff from our own bodies, and we raise our vibrations up, which means we are now filled back up to be able to help ourselves and others, and we are also able to share the light with others, okay? So don't forget to laugh out loud, okay? All right, so, Daytona Beach, Altman, it's Saturday and Sunday, and I think it's like $12 to get in. The tickets are not very much money. So if you are in the vicinity of Daytona and the 28th and 29th, in Daytona Beach, I will post the actual location, but it's Spirit Fest, and I would love for you to come and visit. It would be such a wonderful joy to meet people in person. So, Spaceballs. Not Robin Williams. It was Rick Moranis and Mel Brooks So not Robin Williams, although he is hilarious. So, all right. So we're going to leave it there for today, and I appreciate all of your love and support, and I'm so happy for all of you to come and be part of our community today. And I'm going to send so much light out to you, and with the challenge to find the thing that makes you laugh out loud, because it is not where we are trying to ignore what's happening in the world and laugh instead, but we're laughing because. Okay? And so always remember, this is a safe space, and that you are loved. You are loved. You are loved by the universe, spirit, God. Pick your name, your loved ones in spirit, the ascended masters, angels, guides. It is all only love. That's on the other side. It is only love. Okay? It is here that we seem confused. So you are loved. Thank you for being part of our community of light. We'll see you next week.